what made Ravi Varma was a different phenomenon, The very fact that he traveled, the very fact that he made friends with known people, the very fact that he was made as an example of anti-Swadeshi. So all these points made him very well known. He himself divided his paintings into three categories. One category, he said, was iconic. So that was the gods and goddesses. One was puranic. So those were all the mythology paintings. And the third category, scenes from classical Indian literature. He himself made his categories as the kind that he wished to paint.
Yeah, Shmuel, yes, you can ask your car.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. This new subject for me, and I want to ask you what impacts of the works of Raja Virma, of his works on modern, on traditional art in modern India.
Well, Ravi Varma, after he was made unpopular during the Swadeshi movement, for many, 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 many decades, he was a forgotten person. When we went into the period of contemporary, the Bombay school, the progressives, he was completely a forgotten person because they said that, realistic portrait painting, this is very, very old-fashioned and not to be shown, no one is interested. That was the end. But in 1993, we had a revival when we did an exhibition of his paintings at the National Museum that brought it back. Now, what is happening is that he is very much in demand. People want to buy him. People are all the time looking for Ravi Varma's paintings. So he is, as a traditional academic painter, he is able to survive alongside other contemporary and postmodern arts. He is able to survive because he has acquired a popularity of his own and he is surviving despite being a pot painter.
Who are the contemporary painters of that time?
There were many painters at that time, but now they are slowly there are people wanting to look for other realistic or figurative, let's use the word figurative. They were wanting to look at figurative painters of that period. So especially in South India, there were a great many of those who are now in demand. There were several talented painters in the court in Travancore, in Thiruvananthapuram. They are being sought after. Ravi Varma's family members are being sought after. So there are other painters, there are some anonymous painters, we don't know who they are. They are being sought after for the quality of their painting. What made Ravi Varma was a different phenomenon, Some of the things that I've mentioned. There are other things too. The very fact that he traveled, the very fact that he made friends with known people, the very fact that he was made as an example of anti-Swadeshi. So all these points made him very well known. He was forgotten. He was called, calendar artist. He was known as calendar artist. He got many derogatory adjectives thrown at him. But now he's back. He's holding his own. So in spite of all, contemporary and postmodern.
Was he wealthy and recognized while he was alive?
Very much. I showed you his obituary in the newspaper. The very fact that, and the obituary is in glowing words about what a great man he was, how gentle he was, how well-mannered he was. And so he was very well known during his lifetime, very well known.
Could you say a word or two about his biopic Rasiya by Ketan Mehta?
Well, what do I say? I don't think I want to say, because it's not completely accurate.
Okay. More fictional story?
Yes, it's not accurate.
Okay. One question from Mr. Vikas Singh. When did he switch to portraiture instead of landscape and other genres? Was it driven by economic conditions?
He never did landscapes. I mean, if he did a landscape, it was because he would have been in a mood. But the person who did landscapes was his brother, Raja Varma. He was very fond of, he was a very dreamy young man who was Ravi Varma's constant companion, who adored his brother. They adored each other, and they died within a year of each other. Ravi Varma never really did landscapes. He was more interested in, well, he did portraits, he was asked, but he himself divided his paintings into three categories. He said one category, he said, was iconic. So that was the gods and goddesses. One was puranic. So those were all the mythology paintings. And the third category he made for himself was scenes from classical Indian literature. So these he himself made his categories as the kind that he wished to paint. And this is what he did. He either did iconic, meaning gods looking still at you, portraits, which he did because everyone wanted a portrait done by Ravi Varma, Puranic paintings, and scenes from classical Indian literature. So these were his themes.
Another question from Sashi Ranjan Prakash. After Ravi Varma, which Indian painters did most work on Indian mythology?
Well, after Ravi Varma, it became a trend everywhere. At that time, there were many artists who were doing mythology. And don't forget, earlier on, in Bengal, especially if you look at it, the early Bengal paintings, that they are wonderful, the early Bengal paintings, they are all mythology. They are all mythology. And the reason they have not come into prominence is because their artists are not known. They were anonymous artists at that time. But there is a huge period. Again, it's turn of the 19th into the 20th century, going on into, let's say, the 1930s and 40s, that these early Bengal painters made mythology a huge amount. And the Bengal school also made it, but not strictly. I'm talking about the early Bengal painters. And everywhere, mythology is everywhere. Mythology is in every part of the country.